entire country, leads the SEC in 5. On the other side for South Carolina, they're going to try to not let Bree beat them. This year has really been a nice start for them. They started 20-0 for the first time since '76, a team that was picked to finish at the very bottom of the SEC.
I think despite what the preseason selections were, there is a lot of newness for this squad. Brand new head coach, brand new staff, 7 transfers, a lot of new ones as far as young faces and freshmen go, and they have, despite the odds, done really well.
Starting lineup for South Carolina, Lilio is going to lead off. Ariana Rhodey is the real power source, though, at number 3. Ready to go with strike 1, delivered from Peyton Burnham, the freshman from Oregon, and we are underway on a picture-perfect night in the Ozarks. Lilio right back up the middle and past a diving Davison into center, and South Carolina is in business here in the first.
A freshman arm. This is a very young staff for Arkansas. 3 freshmen on this pitching staff. We were bound to see a freshman get the start at some point this weekend. Robin Heron, their junior, their ace, had a great outing last night. I think we probably could have drawn a name out of a hat and gotten one of their freshmen in the circle today, and they go to Peyton Burnham. Up in the zone, she's able to also hit low with the knees, but it's the off speed. It's the fact that she can throw a changeup in any count that makes her so effective.
Burnham, the Oregon Gatorade Player of the Year as a junior, and that one is squirted into left for a base hit, and Carly Shelton is on first base. First and second, and nobody out. Great start here for the Gamecocks.
You know, this 1-2 punch is iconic for South Carolina. Quincy Lilio led off with a base hit up the middle. She transferred in from Oklahoma, and then you've got sophomore Carly Shelton right behind her. 15 doubles on the year. These two really pack a punch.
And this is who you want up with runners on base. Ariana Rhodey takes strike 1. Rhodey, one of 6 players to follow their head coach, Ashley Chastain Woodard, coming from Charlotte out of the American Athletic Conference. Now back to her alma mater in her first year at South Carolina. And what a job she has done. I mean, she's been a winner everywhere that she has gone. So it's not at all a surprise to see South Carolina having early success NCAA tournament the last 2 seasons for the 49ers.
Such a tough kid, has a hockey background. You'll see her on defense over at first base. She wears that face mask, suffered a broken nose this year and played through it. I just can't even wrap my brain around that.
If that doesn't scream hockey player to you, I don't know what does. 1-2 is right back to Burnham. She's going to go to third and get that out. Over to first, not in time. And I wonder if Burnham had been maybe a little bit quicker, would they have been able to potentially turn that double play? Question is, was McDowell on the bag early enough to receive that? We'll see.
Yeah, Burnham does a good job here of fielding this position. It's a backhand. Does look like McDowell was there in time. This is the urgency of the game, though. Once again, a freshman in the circle. This is a tall order for your first time in a D1 uniform. You're starting just to dip your feet into SEC play. This is the toughest conference in our game, without a doubt.
Lexi Winters also followed Ashley, coming over from Charlotte. Was the starting catcher from day 1, the American Conference Defensive Player of the Year last season. He's already caught 5 of 13 would-be base stealers. This is over to third. This could very well be 2. Third to first, and they turn it 5-3. And that is how Arkansas and Peyton Burnham get out of a jam in the first.
This is one way to have your freshmen's back. In the circle, she gives up 2 back-to-back base hits, but it's the double play. Ends the inning.
Arkansas coming up to the plate for the first time, a team averaging 8 runs per game, 10th most in the country coming into this weekend. Ella McDowell has been so important, the National Freshman of the Week, and we will see her hitting behind Bree Ellis. That's important because it offers the protection where they can't just pitch around Ellis, even though a lot of times they do. It hasn't really worked, especially last night with 5 runs driven in that run rule win for Arkansas over South Carolina. Reagan Johnson followed by Reagan Kramer and Bree Ellis to lead off for Arkansas here in the bottom half of the first inning against Jory Hurd in the circle to start once again just like last night.
I thought Jory Hurd looked really good last night. She struggled a bit to keep it in the zone before being pulled. Sam Gress coming in behind her, but I think that her spots were good. She challenged both in and out, was able to really attack righties. She is a righty specialist. We saw head coach Chastain tell us just about how she manages this staff, and she mentioned that Jory Hurd is the righty specialist, Sam Gress is the lefty specialist, and in looking at this Arkansas lineup, they're really split between the middle here.
Just off the plate, ball 2.
She's got velo, right? Can touch 70 miles an hour, but really focuses on that glove side. Again, against righties, she's able to run it away outside of that strike zone.
This is going to be a really tough play and absolutely nothing for Shelton. Reagan Johnson puts it on the ground. Good luck finding a way to keep her off of first base.
How do you defend this, right? Speed never sleeps. This is the threat of Johnson in the leadoff. What is a routine ground ball to Shelton, who, by the way, is pinched in to defend this speed and still is unable to make this out in time. 17 stolen bases on the year for Reagan Johnson. I mean, she is a threat on the base pass. If there is a single human I want off first base,
yes,
it is Reagan Johnson.
17 stolen bases, by the way, in 18 attempts. She's only been caught once and now has increased her hit streak to 9 games where she's 16 of 30 in that stretch with 6 multi-hit games. Now it's up to the second Reagan in the lineup, Reagan Kramer.
Notice the defense playing pretty even. Got your middle infield up the middle behind the base paths. They're respecting the pop of Kramer. That middle infield also wanting to give themselves a little bit of space to potentially roll up that double play. Granted, they will have to be perfect with Johnson standing at first base. It will be very hard to roll one up with that type of speed.
Not going, a little excuse me check swing. And there's already some activity in that South Carolina bullpen. Ashley Chastain Woodard is not going to give it too much time. This is not a game that you can give away. It would be a series loss with them losing last night. Over to second, and that one is mishandled by Shelton. And that's the speed of Reagan Johnson. I mean, she forces you to be perfect on the infield.
This is exactly what I'm saying. This is a ball that is just custom fit for a double play. And the mishandling of Shelton, you don't have room to make a single split-second decision with the speed of Reagan Johnson. You have to be perfect on the dirt to roll that up.
Nowhere really to put Bree Ellis either as the senior steps up on her senior night and fouls it away. So back-to-back infield singles for Arkansas. They're going small ball at the top of this lineup to set up Ellis. A career 68 home runs. And the top 5 of active career leaders in homers, RBIs, and total bases.
This is a once-in-a-generation type athlete. That looks like that one potentially hit the arm.
She thought it certainly did, but home plate umpire and crew chief Bobby DeMeo is signaling for her to return to the batter's box. She was adamant, that ball hitter.
You know, this is interesting. You do have to tip your cap on the salesmanship here, because for Bri Ellis, finding a way on base is a win. Is a win, is a win, is a win. You can't really skin it any other way. Finding your way on first base is your job. But on the other hand, if I'm Bri Ellis, I want to swing.
And she does. Bounces over to short. Second one. Not in time. No, off the base. Shelton was not on second base. And that's a big mistake there by South Carolina, with McDowell coming up, bases loaded, and nobody out.
Let's get another look at this. It appears that the throw was there on time.
But upon wasn't on the base.
Further look, yeah, no foot on the base.
Oh, yeah. And that should go down as a fielder's choice, and it does. But what's important now for Arkansas is that the bases are loaded, there's nobody out, and you've got someone in Ella McDowell, the D1 Softball National Player of the Week. You want to listen to what kind of streak she's on? A 7-game hit streak. In that stretch, she's 17 of 26, a double, 2 homers, and 16 runs driven in. 6 straight multi-hit games for Ella McDowell, and this has to be the last place South Carolina fans were hoping that they would see their team in the bottom of the first inning tonight. Infield pinched in now for South Carolina as McDowell takes upstairs.
Yeah, Dowell was the freshman yesterday that had that bases clearing double that really turned this game around for Arkansas. She was the one that kicked the floodgates open for the Razorbacks. There's something so athletic about her approach in the box, the swing that she takes. When you just watch her demeanor on the field, there's nothing about her that reads youth. There's nothing about her that reads freshman.
She has a lot of high-level experience, too.
I think there's a lot of crossover with the senior, Bri Ellis. Again, it's her senior night tonight. Ella McDowell, a freshman. They grew up, both of them, in the same area, and Bri was an idol of McDowell. I mean, this was a young woman that looked up to Bri Ellis. Very similar mindsets, just competitors, hard outs, and in talking to Courtney Deifel, she said Bri has really helped Ella handle the emotions of this game.
3-1 pitch. That'll find the plate, and the count runs full.
Let's see where this pitch is. Her trying to establish this strike zone, and I agree with that call.
Good
right
pitch.
At the top of the knees. Yeah, it's a great pitch.
3-2. Do it again.
Same location. I think those types of competitive placements is where her just wasn't locating last night. A little bit too wide. The misses weren't competitive enough.
That'll bring in a run. Arkansas can send it over the wall, and they can also play small ball. That's why they've been so dangerous this season. And 25-4 this year when scoring first.
Yeah, it's interesting just looking at my line here. Only 1 error on the board, but honestly, that ground ball from Kramer, a missed opportunity up the middle of the field to get that lead out at second base. It's noted as a single, but to me, that play's got to be made. That keeps Johnson out of scoring position and potentially a run off the board here.
Here's the Texas transfer, Courtney Day, with a chance to blow this game open early on. Great to see her back in the lineup yesterday. Returned after missing 3 games with a leg injury. Didn't even really know when she got hurt in that Florida series, but couldn't put any weight on her leg on Saturday. They sent her home. She got in to see the doctor on Monday and has just been feeling so much better. Back in the lineup last night, and here as that one is sent out down the left field line and foul. But that's a big part of this Arkansas team. McDowell and Courtney Day to follow up Ellis and provide that protection for one of the best hitters in the country.
Trying to see here if this was an off-speed. It is. That is a changeup out of the back of the hand of Hurd. You heard that off the end of the bat of Courtney Day, just trying to time up that pitch.
And 1-2 is in there. Big out there for Hurd.
You know, we saw this yesterday from Courtney. She struck out looking her first at-bat against Hurd. So she swings at the changeup, fouls it off, and then takes one hard on the inside corner. To me, just getting her game plan crossed up, not trusting her pitch selection.
So here's Kaylee Wyckoff with one out and the bases still loaded, takes outside. Another outstanding transfer here for Arkansas. Not only Courtney Day, but Wyckoff coming over from Texas Tech, and then Carly Davison, the second baseman from Utah. All three making huge impacts. 1-1 after the check. Wyckoff, the freshman of the year in the Big 12 in 2023, all Big 12 first team last year. Went golfing for it there. I know it's Masters Saturday, but 1-2 here on Wyckoff. And already, Aaron, making Jory Hurd in the circle work really hard in this first inning. She's almost thrown 30 pitches.
You know, we mentioned the righty specialist nature of Hurd. Well,
floated left field line.
The two base hits she gives up, lefties. You almost saw that one go down against Wyckoff. Well, guess what? She's a lefty.
Yeah.
So, you know, there is something to this. There is a matchup nature about South Carolina's pitching staff. And head coach Chastain was very honest about that.
And Rijo is a lefty in the box as well. 2-2, bouncer up the middle, second, one, first, not in time. Another run scores, and Ellis is going to cross the plate on the throwing error. Well, this is a South Carolina team that is third in the country, fielding 984. They've already made 2 errors.
You just can't give up these types of freebies to a team like Arkansas. And these are routine plays that have to be made, and South Carolina knows this. This defense is so competitive.
Rijo flies it down the right field line, long run, and a basket catch on a bobble hauled in by Knight. An eventful way to bring this bottom of the first inning to a close, but Arkansas strikes first. 3-0 Hogs. Arkansas under head coach Courtney Deifel. I mean, there is no question that a player like Mary Half, Hannah McEwen, Autumn Storms, they really started the growth of taking this team from last in the SEC to winning it all in the regular season in both 2021 and 2022. But Ellis has almost taken it to another level. That hot shot over to Davison handled, and Ella Chansey's the first out of the second.
Bri Ellis, having spent 2 seasons at the University of Auburn, coming over to Arkansas in her junior year, and has just blossomed as a Razorback. Just looking at her stats, what she's done over the past 4 years, hard to believe she could top what she did in her junior season. And she is. She ended last year with 14 home runs. She's already surpassed that with 20 this season. 444 OBP, already 655 this year. Hence the patience of taking those walks. She knows that she's going to get pitched around, and she's not chasing pitches out of the zone.
A ball and a strike with 1 out on Brooke Blankenship, and she'll nub that one off the end of the bat. Davison underhand flip, and there's Ellis for out number 2.
How about the RBIs, too? 47 RBIs last season. She's already up to 59 this year. One of the questions I had for Courtney Deifel was just how does an athlete like this, in knowing what this moment is for her, her senior season, she's playing just out of her mind. How do you do it?
Long run and just a look at the end for Kramer.
It was an easy answer for Courtney Deifel. She said this is such a cerebral athlete. She's very disciplined, very aggressive, but she is unbelievably committed to staying present this season. She is going to make the most of this year.
And she certainly has. I mean, she's made the most of every college season, though. The consistency is what's most impressive, I think, because when you look at someone, yeah, sometimes they have a great finish to their career, or they start well and then trail off. I mean, Bree Ellis has blasted at least 14 homers every college season on 2 different SEC teams. The efficiency is really what Courtney Deifel lauded. Never seen her be this efficient, can hit any pitch in any situation, anywhere in the zone, honestly. I mean, we've seen her take pitches completely outside the zone, not even in the river, but in the other batter's box, and leave the yard.
Yeah, that's a mark of an extraordinary hitter in my mind.
Knight swings through it, tipped right back into the glove of the catcher, Miller, and it is a 10-pitch, 1-2-3 inning for Peyton Burnham.
Now the freshman in the circle, still in control. Strikeout, first of the night. 3-0 Arkansas.
South Carolina making a change in the circle here to start the bottom of the 2nd inning, going with another impact transfer from Charleston Southern, Neely Lamb.
Yeah, a sophomore that has really answered the call this year. Elevated in a lot of different ways, speed being one of those, gained some miles per hour since working with South Carolina. Tall in stature, has a really long leap off the rubber. Up ball spin, she's going to challenge with the rise ball, climbs the ladder, especially late in counts.
Over to first, a little humpback liner handled by Rhodey. So already a much better start for South Carolina in this bottom of the 2nd inning than the first. Yeah, Neely Lamb is really a huge presence, 5'11" in the circle, and you can see when she lands, her foot is just about at the edge of that white circle.
Yeah, it's interesting when you have a pitcher that has these, long levers, long legs, long arms. Sometimes the mile per hour can be deceptive because, yeah, maybe it's 67, 68 miles an hour, but when you're leaping, 4 feet to 5 feet off the rubber, it's going to get on your hands quick.
Opposite way, just foul. Well, and she's not delivering it from the rubber either. She's a few feet in front of the rubber by the time that ball lets loose. Definitely imposing. Anything that you would make an adjustment as a hitter with one of these bigger pitchers?
Maybe a little bit more athletic, choking up on the bat a hair, getting lower in the stance. Anything that's going to allow you to take a shorter and more urgent swing to the ball.
You think that she's tall, and then you think about Tennessee's Carlin Pickens, who's coming at you at 6'1", throwing 78 miles an hour. I don't even know how anybody hits that.
I had a chance to see Carlin Pickens live in person last weekend. I called the Tennessee-Mississippi State matchup, and speaking of that record, 78.2 miles an hour from Carlin Pickens breaks the NCAA record for fastest pitch. And guess who she threw that pitch against? It was Arkansas back in mid-March.
2-2 bouncer, right side. Nice diving stop by Shelton, but all she can do is snare it. And Kennedy Miller is on. Nice for her, too, because she's been going through a rough stretch at the plate.
Yeah, Miller has really been trying to figure some things out at the plate in the 9-hole. The job is to be a tough out, to turn over this lineup back to the speedster, Reagan Johnson. She finds a way to get it done here. A 3-4 hole ground ball. It's a good diving effort by Shelton at second base.
Back to the top of the order as Johnson pulls the bunt back. And Miller with her first hit of the series, and she's on first base. Johnson with that infield single in the first. She came around to score the first run of the ball game. Over to first. That is, I guess, how you get Johnson out. You have it hit right at the first baseman, and all Rhodey has to do is touch up for out number 2. So Neely Lamb definitely seems to have settled down this South Carolina team. They made 2 errors in the first inning. Just their 3rd game all season with 2 or more errors. They've made 26, or played 26 games, that is, not making a single error. 26 of their 41. One of the best fielding teams in the entire country, but Arkansas is even better. Nobody is better than them in the entire country. Arkansas looking to win this series here at home. They've won 9 of the last 10 games in the last 4 series against South Carolina, but the Gamecocks have won their last 3 conference series. Something's got to give. That's ripped down the right field line. Here comes Miller, in without a throw. 4-0 Arkansas.
Back to the importance of Kennedy Miller in that 9-hole. Finding a way to turn this lineup over gives way for Reagan Kramer to do what she does best. She's a gap-to-gap hitter. She's pulling it to her power alley side down that right field line, and that's going to get another RBI for Arkansas.
And it brings up Bree Ellis. Fielder's choice, her first time up. Came around to score the final run of that 3-run first for Arkansas, and still threatening here with 2 outs. And Kramer on first.
I mean, where do you even go? Where do you go as a pitcher, as a pitching coach, when you're facing a bat like this? We talked about her range. She's not waiting on something just within the textbook strike zone.
That one was bounced well in front of the plate. That was like a 38-footer from Lamb.
Had a chance to watch their Florida series in Gainesville, and there was a ball she took opposite field yard that I swear was 2.5 balls off the plate.
Yep. And now it's 3-0 against her. And they're just going to put her on. All right, so now, in her last now 3 SEC games, that is her 5th intentional walk. I mean, in a lot of ways, just with the way she's impacting the game and the way he impacted the game, she's almost like a Barry Bonds type character. Like, they just will not pitch to her.
The impressive thing is how McDowell is handling this in front of her. The protection that this freshman is providing to the senior. McDowell in the 4-hole knows that there will probably not be a lot of pitches thrown to Bree Ellis. Well, guess who will likely get those pitches? It's Ella.
And nobody's got to like that more. I'd imagine that's a spot, Aaron, you would have relished.
Oh, man, you salivate over that. It's a pride thing
Yes.
at that moment. Okay, you don't want to pitch to her? Well, I dare you to pitch to me.
And it's not like Ella hasn't had an incredible season.
Really good off-speed from Neely Lamb. That will be the difference maker, I believe, against the Razorbacks. You have to switch speeds. You have to keep them off balance.
0-2. Over to short, charging Blankenship over to first in time. So just the single run comes through on the RBI knock from Reagan Kramer, but Arkansas extends its lead here in the second. Tennessee won 3-2 last night as they finish up that series. Here's Emma Sellers, first at bat of the weekend. Natalie Heath started at the designated player spot in last night's ball game. 8-9-1 coming up for the Gamecocks. Sellers, Vincent, and Lilio. High pop, and the little Texas leaguer dunks in behind Riho. So Sellers is on to lead off. Lilio got on with a single in the first as well, but that was an inning that the Gamecocks had chances, but ended up grounding into a 5-3 double play off the bat of Lexi Winters to end that threat. This is in the hole once again. Riho's going to go to second. It's not in time. Here come the Gamecocks in the third.
Looks like Riho at shortstop gets caught back on the heels. Notice that she's not able to continue to move through this ball. Has to make a sliding effort into the 5-6 hole and still makes the choice to try and get that fielder's choice at second base. Love the aggressiveness, but knowing your speed of Sellers.
They're going to bunt over to third, handled, and there's McDowell to Ellis, rather to the second baseman Davison covering for out number one, but a very good sacrifice there as it goes down 5-4. So just like Arkansas did in that first inning, playing a little small ball here for South Carolina, looking to get their first runs. Over to second, Davison, only play is to first, and South Carolina's going to be on the board with the RBI ground out.
You know, that's some high IQ hitting from Shelton. If there's one side of this field that you want to focus on, specifically with a couple runners in scoring position, it's pull side. You want to stay on the right side of the field. For that reason, I mean, you just saw it. That's an easy ground ball in the 3-4 hole, and it's enough to give way for Emma Sellers to find her way at home plate.
And exactly what South Carolina needed to just cut into this advantage for Arkansas any way they could. They're going to do it again as that ball skirts past Winters. Check that, Miller on what looked for sure like a wild pitch there from Burnham.
Yeah, you can see just right between the wickets. She tries to drop the knees down to block this pitch, and it finds its way through.
2-0 on Rhodey and a big cut and a miss. So South Carolina's all of a sudden cut this deficit in half. And, you know, that is honestly kind of what South Carolina has done all year long. Ripped into the gap. That's going to get down and head to the wall. Rhodey going for second. Johnson's throw keeps her at first. A long single for Rhodey.
You've got Reagan Johnson in center field. We've talked about her speed all game. Look where she's playing. She is shaded to right side. She's in right center field, which gives her, I don't know, maybe 50 yards less, 50 feet less of that coverage. Potentially, if she's playing straight up center, she's able to keep that ball a little bit off the wall. Regardless, it's a single. She didn't give up two bases.
No, and they'll take that. With 2 outs, and now here's Winters into right field, and a base hit. But now it's first and second and not first and third.
Something is changing for South Carolina here. They're seeing Burnham in a different way, or having a bit of a different approach at the plate, sitting on a different pitch.
Much more competitive at bats here in the third.
This is solid contact, line drives. They're getting on top of that ball and able to swing down plane to create some backspin.
And McKnight is going to come in and pinch run. So South Carolina's kind of showing you again what they have really been instilled with by Ashley Chastain Woodard. They have a whole system, competitive plate appearances that, Aaron, they track every single game. A lot of ways you can get a CPA.
CPA, right? That's the term. It's also tax season, as you said earlier.
It is. Don't remind me.
Take the list here, though. A hard hit over 65-mile-an-hour exit speed, advancing a runner into scoring position with 2 outs on the board, executing an action play, meaning a hit and run, bunt and run, squeeze play, having a long at-bat. There's a lot of ways that you can snag a competitive plate appearance. And we have seen a lot of those just here in the 3rd inning.
I love the way that you put it. It's the game within the game.
Had something a little bit like that when I played at Oklahoma. It wasn't a whole running list of CPAs, but we would track hard hits. And Coach Gasso would either give you a thumbs up or a thumbs down, and you would track how many hard hits can we get into a game. They didn't have to be safe. It could result in an out, but had to be a hard ball in play.
McDowell's going to get that final out over to Ella Chansey, and that'll do it in the 3rd. Not before South Carolina gets a couple. We've got ourselves a ball game in Fayetteville. It has been really exciting to watch the growth of Arkansas softball under Courtney Deifel. She comes in 2016 after a season at Maryland. They finished 1-23. Already, it's a big improvement with 7 wins in 2017. All the way, I mean, that is a quick climb to winning the league, winning the toughest league in the country in the SEC.
It's pretty clear, right? They call it the Deifel effect for a reason, because since she's stepped into this program, she's taken it places. It feels like they have been pounding on the Women's College World Series door for a long time. You've seen what they've been able to do in the SEC, 2 SEC regular season championships, SEC tournament champs, 7 NCAA appearances, and they're not done yet.
A Super Regional in 2022. Still waiting to get to that first Women's College World Series in Oklahoma City. Maybe this is the year. It is one of the deepest teams that they have ever had for sure. Courtney Day helps that out, the transfer from Texas.
You know, I had asked her 10 years here in Fayetteville, what does this team have that your previous teams haven't? She said, well, all of my teams compete. All of them want to be good, but there is a different edge to this squad this season. They want to be coached hard. Good is not enough for them.
Well, jam job over to Chansey for out number 1.
There's this hunger to be elite. There's this full commitment to whatever it's going to take for this team to reach the top, to be as good as they possibly can be.
And something that is most interesting with this Arkansas team is the fight that they continue to show. They handle and work through that consistency you have to be a great team at this level. And it was no more on display than that series win over Florida last weekend, where it was the highest ranked series win in program history. They were number 2 in the country, and they go to Gainesville, and they bounce back from a walk-off with just a massive win on Sunday. And it was so impressive because it's just not a series you expect any team to go in and win. But they outscore the Gators on their home field 20-16. 1-2 now on Wyckoff. And Florida has been just fine this weekend, winning the first 2 games against Ole Miss. So I don't think we have to worry about the Gators. They'll bounce back.
When she continues, Courtney Deifel, to add a staff around her of excellence. DJ Gasso in his 2nd year as assistant coach, hitting specialist here at Arkansas. I'm sure you all know the name. Gasso comes from a long lineage of legends within our sport. But he spent some time at Utah. What he was able to do for the Utes at Utah took them to their first ever super regional appearance, hosted, ended up beating San Diego State to go to their first ever Women's College World Series, then makes his way here to Fayetteville.
To another 2-2 to Wyckoff. Also worked with a very talented young player at Utah in Carly Davison. And now a chance to do the exact same. Courtney told us that they just get along really well. They know each other. They know how they work. They know their styles. It's been a big help.
I had asked Courtney Deifel about what she's seen just from DJ in his second season at Arkansas, that really feels like he's been able to settle in, kind of recline into who he is as a coach. This team really trusts and has bought into his style, his offensive mind. He would probably get mad at me for saying this, but he and JT, his older brother, who is at the University of Oklahoma, also at the helm of one of the greatest offenses in the nation at Oklahoma. There's a lot of similarities. Their approach to the game, they're problem solvers. They both approach hitting in the same way. They have their differences, for sure, but they both are masterful minds of hitting within our game.
Payoff pitch to Wyckoff again, into the gap, in left center, down, and it hits off of the wall. Lilio gets it in quickly, but not before Wyckoff is in there with a one-out double.
What a battle by Wyckoff. With 2 strikes, she's able to foul off, foul off, foul off, and finally, this ball is a drop ball on the outer half of the zone. She doesn't overswing. She doesn't roll over this pitch. She sees where it's thrown and takes it exactly to that location. Left center gap and finds herself a double here.
Came on the 10th pitch of the at-bat. And now here is Atalia Rijo. Fly out to right field, her first time up. She'll offer it the first one. Arkansas has very quickly also built one of the best environments for college softball. I mean, we have seen it at the highest level around the country. And there are a lot of great SEC venues that support their teams. It has so quickly become one of the Arkansas staple sports, along with football, baseball, basketball, what John Calipari did this year in the NCAA tournament, kind of shocking everyone with that big win over St. John's. But this has always been a tremendous park, and now it's full almost every single time that they suit up. Set the program attendance record last year. Let the 0-2 go by. In and out of the glove of Winters, but no advance there from Wyckoff from second base.
You know, we've talked a lot about the effect of both Courtney Deifel and DJ, their impacts on programs that they step into. We could say those same exact things about head coach for South Carolina, Ashley Chastain Woodard, who did some pretty incredible things at University of Charlotte before stepping over to South Carolina. Man, what her and her husband, who is the head coach still at Charlotte for their baseball squad.
That's right. 2-2, a cut and a miss. Got her. Blew it right by Rijo, 2 away.
Just an incredible career, obviously recognized as Neely Lamb goes upstairs for this swing and miss. Her first strikeout in the circle.
Has done pretty well coming into this very hostile environment, especially when Arkansas plated 3 in the first. She's only given up 1. That's off the fists, over to short, the call on the catch, Blankenship. So for the first time, Arkansas is held off of the board, and we've played 3 here at Bogle Park. Hogs by 2. South Carolina comes up to the plate looking to dig into that 2-run deficit with the 6, 7, and 8 hitters, Blankenship, Knight, and Sellers.
Well,
So right, though,
yeah,
about Lamb. I mean,
exactly.
every time that changeup was thrown, I mean, it was not a competitive pitch. It was too low. It was in front of the plate. You get that over, it changes the way that you can pitch.
You know, I've said it once. I do believe the off-speed is the game changer, specifically in facing Arkansas.
Out to right and on a knee. There's Wyckoff.
When it has been spotted, they've been successful with it, but it's been really spotty, no matter who's in the circle, whether that's Sam Gress, Jory Hurd. Now we've seen Neely Lamb start to settle in, but for all three of them, we saw Sam Gress throw that off speed just a bit yesterday, and then after the 5th inning, the floodgates opened for Arkansas, and she just did not have an answer for them.
Yeah, Jory Hurd, who started through 2 1/3 yesterday in game 1, and then just 1 inning, giving up those 3 runs, though only 1 was earned. It was kind of tough luck because she kept getting ground balls, but for a very good South Carolina defense, they didn't have an answer on those balls on the infield. A couple errors, a couple mental mistakes. All in all, 3 runs came in. Goes up in the zone there.
Coach Chastain Woodard, you know, talking about pitching. Pitching is her thing. That is her expertise. That is her brain. That is her specialty.
High drive, center field. There's Johnson camping under it. The park holds it for out number 2.
But beyond that, what she has done as a head coach has been extraordinary. 5 seasons at Charlotte, a 154-96 record with 2 NCAA postseason appearances. Briefly mentioned about her husband, head coach for the baseball program at Charlotte, who, by the way, is still living in Charlotte. They also bought a house in South Carolina about 90 minutes apart, Alex, and they have been commuting and making it work. Been pretty extraordinary.
It really is. It's certainly a testament to their marriage. They go between the two, usually in Charlotte on Mondays because it's kind of the off day.
Yeah. There they are.
There they are. There's Robert, head baseball coach for Charlotte, as well as Calvin, the most important member of the family. I'm sure that everybody will say that as well. Down below, hot shot to left. And there's the 2-out hit for Emma Sellers. She is 2 for 2.
It would be hard for me not to come home and want to talk shop and just break down the game and talk about bat and ball. And she said, look, we really work hard on not bringing home the losses. We work hard on keeping our emotions about the game out of the house, but leaning on each other because they both understand it as well. It's a fine line. You got to balance it.
It was kind of incredible, too, because the American Conference Championship was at Wichita State, and Charlotte won it last year. And Robert and the 49ers just so happened to be in Wichita that weekend. So they got to celebrate it together, which is a special twist of fate in a lot of ways. Ball and a strike here on Vincent as they try to turn the lineup over. Burnham has just been methodical in the circle. Yes, she gave up those couple of runs in the 3rd, but has bounced back quite nicely. An inning on. And she's going to get out of this with pop-up to Rio. South Carolina held off the board. Just a 13-pitch inning there for Burnham.
Hey, yeah.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Bottom of the 4th. Arkansas 4, South Carolina 2. Bree Ellis just continues to absolutely dominate opposing pitching. The SEC Co-Player of the Week. 7 runs driven in that 4 games. Not bad.
Not bad.
Not bad. And she's getting walked every other pitch. So Kennedy Miller will start it off 9-1-2 for the Razorbacks here in the 4th inning. Miller, Johnson, and Kramer to come. popped up. Will this stay in play? Yes, it will. Rohde right by the screen.
Something that's so apparent to me, and having the opportunity to talk to both of these head coaches, you can sense their humanness just in seeing their in-game interviews, but having spent some time really picking their brains for the betterment of an hour apiece. These are really, really good humans. I mean, that genuinely love these young women. They're invested in their development. You could see just the emotion in Coach Deifel talking about Brie Ellis and what it's been like to have her for 2 years. Ashley Chastain Woodard bringing over a ton of the relationship she built from Charlotte. She talked about the fact that South Carolina hitting the ground running, having the success they had earlier in this year was due to the talent that she brought over.
You know, and she wouldn't have brought 6 former players from Charlotte if she didn't think that she could compete, and they could all compete at that kind of level.
I mean, you and I both have covered a lot of softball. We've talked to a lot of coaches. You've covered multiple sports and had a chance to be around a lot of head coaches. It just feels like both of these women really love what they do, and they love who they coach, and they're invested for the right reasons.
Well, and success follows that. Tip off of the glove at Chansey, and Johnson is on. The only way they were going to get Johnson was going to be to snare that, and that had a lot of English on it.
Take a look at the defense here. A hot chop to the 5-6 hole. There's an extra infielder on the dirt. They bring in Knight from right field just to give their defense a shot at that out, and they still don't get it.
Second infield single for Reagan Johnson. I think so much of that just had to do with the spin. It was hard for Chansey to see that one into the pocket. And now Arkansas's really in business, 1 out, and the speedy Johnson on first base. She's on the move. Throw down. It does not get better than that from Winters. Well, there is a reason that Lexi Winters has caught now 6 of 14 would-be base stealers. Second time Johnson's been caught this year.
You're waiting on this opportunity if you're Winters. Reagan Johnson is one of the most dangerous athletes in the Arkansas lineup. I think that it's easy for a lot of teams to get caught up in Brie Ellis and Ella McDowell with the pop and the power, but to me, one of the scariest bats in this lineup is Reagan Johnson, and Winters comes up with an absolute shot to second base.
That's like a real prove it. That's like player on player, like I'm gonna show you. You try to steal on me. Bad decision that time for Reagan Johnson. My goodness, what a throw. And now 1 pitch away from getting out of this. Out to center, and this should do it. There's Lelio. Changed the entire momentum of that inning. Arkansas held off the board, and through 4, they lead by a pair. A chance for 3 local heroes in a lot of ways that got a chance to come home and play for South Carolina once Ashley Chastain Woodard got this job. Neely Lamb, Emily Vincent, Lexi Winters, all lifelong South Carolina fans, and what an opportunity to live out their dream.
Well, and all transfers, right? They all started at different universities and get a chance to make a dream come true. Lifelong Gamecock fans, and they get to wear the jersey themselves. Nothing more special than that.
Really, really cool. Lamb coming over from Charleston Southern. Winters was with Ashley at Charlotte as Lelio steps in and takes low and away. And Emily Vincent, a Longwood transfer, grew up a half hour outside of Columbia, and she entered the transfer portal and was honest with coach for South Carolina. Said, I only went into the portal to see if I could play for you.
That was it.
If you'll take me, I want to play for South Carolina. If not, I guess I'll just go back to Longwood. Made a huge impact at the bottom of this lineup, and it's already singled and scored today. Lelio rips it into center. So Arkansas has sent Cam Harrison now into the circle, relieving Peyton Burnham, who worked a very effective first 4 innings. Freshman for freshman here.
A little bit different look from Harrison compared to Burnham. Both freshmen, both learning a lot in the circle, getting some valuable conference experience, a tough gauntlet here in the SEC.
And that is a rude welcoming so far by Lelio and now Carly Shelton.
It was interesting talking to Courtney Deifel about what Cam Harrison is going to have to do when she gets the ball to be successful. It's trusting her stuff through the zone. This is an arm that spins the ball really well, has a tight RPM, tight revolution on her movement pitches, a devastating changeup, but has to trust her stuff, and already getting challenged early.
Low and away to Rohde here with 2 on and nobody out. Gets a lot of fly balls, but against Rohde, sometimes that can be a recipe for disaster. 11 home runs on the season, just 4 off of the program's single season lead. And just as she says that, to deep center and out of here. Ariana Rohde gives South Carolina its first lead of the game.
That's the 12th home run for Ariana Rohde. She leads this team in home runs. If you're gonna miss to anybody, it cannot be to this bat. I mean, this ball is down Broadway, the meat of the strike zone. 2 on, no outs. You have to be more competitive with pitch location right here. And the freshman getting a taste of the Gamecocks for the first time. A 3-run shot, and this game is starting to look completely different.
One swing of the bat changes everything now for South Carolina. Rohde, who had been in a little bit of a skid, even though she has now reached base 32 straight games. That's her first run driven in the last 9.
I mean, if I'm being completely honest here, I'm a little bit shocked that we saw a pitching change. Burnham was doing a pretty good job in the circle, was getting a little bit of hard contact, but from my perspective, doing a good job at chipping away on the outer corners of the strike zone. And immediately Harrison coming in and just getting clobbered.
Heron and Berline warming for Arkansas now down in the left field bullpen. Got her on the 0-2, down in the dirt, Miller to first. And Lexi Winters is retired.
This is the type of junk, right? The type of spin from Harrison that she's known for. You can see the tight revolution. It looks like a Frisbee when she throws it in there. It has so much dance, so much wiggle, but she cannot throw through that break.
So the Gamecocks here in the 5th have gone hard hit balls the first 3. I guarantee you those are all going down as competitive plate appearances, that's for sure.
Hey, how about the response, though, from South Carolina?
Outstanding.
The consistency from Lelio in the leadoff, by the way, was hitting over 500 for the majority of this season and was upset at herself at one point for dipping into the 400s, and Ashley Chastain-Woodard had to kind of bring her back into reality that, hey, 400 average is pretty darn good.
She started the year through the very beginning of it hitting 800.
Unbelievable. Shelton doing her thing in the 2-hole, and then you have that big bomb from Rohde.
2-1 on Chansey. Should get a good pitch to hit coming up here. Three and one on Chansey. One hop steered by Davison to Ellis for out number 2. And so a couple in a row retired by Harrison after the roadie bomb.
Speaking with Ashley Chastain Woodard about this offense, we've mentioned the CPAs, the game within the game, but what allows this squad to be so good is their patience at the plate. They do not swing out of the zone often. Really strong eyes. When they do take a cut, it's with conviction. You saw the conviction there from Blankenship, that swing and miss, let her high. But this team really does have a tight zone at the plate.
A lot of that credited to associate head coach Katie Browder. Was also on Ashley's staff at Charlotte. Was in charge of the offense under Jamie Traxel before that. And when she was at Minnesota, not just Ole Miss. And now it's a ball and 2 strikes on Blankenship. And I think what really embodies both of these teams is their resilience. You do hear it a lot, but it seems every single time these teams just bounce back. They find a way. Numbered is second. There's Davison again. But this game is completely different thanks to Rhodey.
12th of the season. Ariana Rhodey, dead center field. We'll see you later. It's a 5-4 ball game. This time it's South Carolina.
We knew that it would be a huge crowd here tonight. Perfect weather, a big SEC series against the number 11 team in the country. 10th largest attendance in program history. 3,535. Fayetteville might be a softball town at this point. They are certainly showing it because this is an impressive outing from the Arkansas fans. And it's not just a lot of fans, it's the noise. They're into it. They're living on every pitch. And it is a stadium that got very quiet with that one swing of the bat from Ariana Rhodey, as Arkansas now trails 5-4. Bree Ellis went around, according to Emerus Addison, the first base umpire, and the count even up at 1-1.
Well, this is a big-time matchup. Both of these teams, depending on which poll you're looking at, the ESPN USA softball poll has Arkansas sitting at 10. Guess who's sitting at 11? None other than South Carolina. These two neck and neck, trying to stay in that top 10.
Ellis down in the count, a ball and 2 strikes.
As far as RPI goes, South Carolina sitting at number 2, Arkansas sitting at number 7. That strength of schedule for both of these squads really flexing itself.
The Gamecocks also second in strength of schedule. Arkansas coming in at number 6. They play a tough schedule, and being in the SEC, they see the best teams in the country. 1-2 pitch. 2-2. Last thing South Carolina wants to do is let Ellis get into one and get this crowd back behind them. Not on that pitch.
You know, on paper, both of these teams look really similar. We've talked about their defensive numbers. Both of these squads are really elite on the dirt. I think the biggest glaring difference is just the home run numbers. Arkansas with 52 long balls this year. South Carolina only with 29. Similar numbers in the circle as far as their staffs go. Like this is a neck and neck matchup. You and I mentioned in game one, a run roll was not on our bingo card. And the fashion in which it unfolded was very odd.
I mean, it's 2-1 going into the fifth, South Carolina.
Exactly. I mean, this really is just a wild card. Very evenly matched ball clubs, well coached.
3-2. Downstairs, and that starts it off for Arkansas. Well, don't miss number 2, Oklahoma, 22nd ranked Alabama. They continue their big 3-game softball series tomorrow. Game 2 coverage at 6 Eastern, and then they finish up the series Monday night at 7 Eastern. It's Mic'd Up Monday. You don't want to miss it with Matt Schumacher and Amanda Scarborough in T-Town. Oklahoma took the first game of that series 5-1 with 5 seventh-inning runs. They were down going into that 7th inning. High drive to deep right field off of the bat of McDowell, and it just hauled in by Knight. Gave it a ride, and McDowell was close. No cigar.
See the smile, the nervous smile from Knight. I thought for a second this might be over the head of Knight in right field. She had to stumble to basket catch that ball. I don't know if it got caught in the lights.
It's unconventional, that's
Wow.
for sure. But it ends up being out number 1, and Ellis has to retreat to first. And Coach Woodard talking with the home plate umpire and the crew chief, Bobby DeMeo, as we are going to see our third pitcher of the game coming up for South Carolina. And they're going to go with the Charlotte transfer, Sam Gress, here in the 5th. Here's Sam Gress. Gave up 5 runs in 2 2/3 innings last night in relief, and they are going to see if maybe we get a different story coming for South Carolina here on a Saturday night.
6-year senior in this circle. Not only is she just a captain, she's the head captain of this team. Was nominated, interviewed by the coaching staff, and has now the ball in her hand in a pressure-filled moment with Bree Ellis standing on first base. And a big, momentous opportunity. You can feel it, Alex, in this stadium. Like, this crowd is alive. This feels like there's some wind under the sails here for the Razorbacks. And who they're going to have to face in the circle is a leader. She's a hard thrower. She challenges up in the zone. And we've talked about the specialization for some arms. This is their lefty specialist. She runs the ball up and in against those lefty hitters. But she's going to face the righty of Courtney Day.
And Day takes upstairs. After this, though, Wyckoff and Riho back-to-back lefties. Day, a strikeout and a ground out to third. Ellis is on first. She represents the tying run here in the 5th for Arkansas. Off the fist, shallow center field, could be trouble, and it dunks into no man's land. They had to respect Courtney Day's power so much in center field that she's able to just pop it into the shallow spot.
Yeah, this is up and in on the hands for Day. She gets just a little bit fisted, sawed off, but the power, the strength, she's able to bloop this into center field. Lelio just doesn't have a play. You said it, respecting the power of Courtney Day, despite a little bit of a rocky weekend. 3 Ks so far on the weekend. You do have to respect that pop.
Arkansas just 1 for 7 with runners in scoring position tonight as they find themselves trailing for the first time all game. Both of these teams had rough starts to their SEC conference play. South Carolina went 0-4. Then after that, won 6 of their last 8. 9 going into tonight after that loss last night. And Arkansas, on the other hand, they started 1-5 and now they're 9-7. So both of these teams, when we talk about resilience, they're not going to let a bad start hinder the rest of the season. Good job just staying alive there. Wyckoff didn't love the offering. She put one down the left field line for a double. Her second of the series already. Also a fielder's choice, her first time up. That brought in a run for Arkansas. Off speed on the outside corner. That was pretty from Gress.
There's such a professionalism about Sam Gress.
Whew.
This is a money off-speed pitch. We heard it from Coach Chastain Woodard that this is going to have to be the difference maker. If this pitching staff can spot the off-speed, they're going to find some success, and she found it against Wyckoff.
Went right back to it on Riho, but couldn't find the zone. So Ellis on second, Day on first after that bloop single. Tying and go-ahead runs for the Razorbacks here in the fifth. After 3 on the board in the top half from South Carolina. Wormburner hits the runner. It hit Day on the way by, and this inning is over. Rohde bailed out because it goes underneath her glove. You know, and I wonder, I think Courtney Deifel's going to say that Day couldn't even see that the ball was coming her way because she was expecting it to be fielded by Rohde. But a Wormburner gets underneath her glove. I mean, if it hits the batter, it's a dead ball, or runner, the runner's out. And Courtney Deifel wants an explanation here. The umpires are going to gather Bobby DeMeo, Emeris Addison, and their Thomas Meyer on third base.
This all happened so fast. There's going to be a lot for us to unpack here. You can see Courtney Deifel expressing some emotion. The call on the field is that the runner is hit by the ground ball, which means she would be out.
I'm not sure if it matters if the runner is shielded by the first baseman.
She's saying, I'm reading lips here. That makes no sense.
I mean, deception is not in the rule book. We already had a 25-minute review that Courtney was involved in at Florida last week. Here's Bobby DeMeo.
Ruling on the field. The ruling on the field is interference. The ball passed the fielder, and another fielder had an opportunity to field. By rule, that is interference. Arkansas is challenging.
So they're challenging interference.
Here we'll get a look. Again, he's saying by rule, this is interference. The fact that the ball did not touch the glove of Rohde at first base goes between the legs. Yeah, that's clean.
It does not touch Rohde.
It does not touch
Obviously,
Rohde.
if it does, that makes a big difference.
It does, yeah.
That changes the call completely.
That hits.
It's a live ball.
It's a live ball. There was no contact made by first baseman Ariana Rohde. And you cannot make contact with that ground ball.
Upheld, interference, runner's out.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, that's the right call. That's
Absolutely.
the right call.
I'm not sure there's any question about that. So South Carolina is going to lead this one by 1 and come up to the plate in the top of the 6th next. South Carolina 18-0 when leading after 5 innings, and that's where we are right now, going to the top of the 6th, up by 1, thanks to the game-changing play so far. Ariana Rohde's 3-run home run. Peyton Burnham started for Arkansas. Cam Harrison came in last inning. And Harrison back in. And that hot shot is off of Ellis and into right field. Didn't have any time to react to that ball off the bat at Knight. And she's got her first hit of the series.
This is the second inning, back-to-back innings that Harrison has given up Leadoff singles. We may have a pitching change here as well.
Might be about to see our third pitcher of the game here for Arkansas. And indeed, that is exactly what is about to happen.
Burnham coming back in.
So technically our third pitcher, but only our second actual pitcher as she re-enters. You can re-enter in softball, and Peyton Burnham is going to come back. So already you can see she threw those 4 innings. And like you said, Aaron, maybe a little bit surprised that she was pulled in that 5th inning. Harrison really struggled, even though she was able to get out of that 5th inning. She gave up the 3-run home run, and now with 1 on and nobody out in the 6th, she's coming back in.
I mean, what this move tells me is that the leash was short. They wanted to see something different out of Harrison at the top of the 6th inning, and they didn't give it. Gave up another leadoff single and then gives the ball back to Burnham, who I really do believe, despite some solid contact here and there, she did have a 1-2-3 inning back in the 2nd. She held South Carolina tight. Thought she had a pretty good approach.
So she comes back into this game with Abigail Knight on first, and she will deal to Emma Sellers, who has had a really nice game at the plate so far. A single, a run scored in the 3rd, and then a base knock in the 4th as well. So it's looking like a great decision from Ashley Chastain Woodard, putting her into the DP spot. Natalie Heath was there last night.
Well, and with only 2 more opportunities offensively for Arkansas, this is an inning where you just cannot give up another insurance run to South Carolina. And on the flip side, South Carolina is pushing for that insurance to pad this lead. There have been some crazy things happen in game 1. We saw what Arkansas did in the 5th inning, ended up coming from a 2-1 deficit to run ruling the Gamecocks.
Burnham deals to Sellers. Greeted with a line drive to left off the base of the wall. Knight pulls into 3rd. Stand-up double. Sellers. Gamecocks looking to add to that 1-run lead here in the 6th.
So solid. This is a pitch that's on the inside part of the plate, a miss for Burnham, and this is power alley for Sellers. A 3-for-3 night for Emma Sellers. Kramer in left field didn't even give chase, which was a good call there, just to turn around and play that bounce off the wall. One of the advantages of being in your home park is knowing how that outfield fence is going to play. She knew the ricochet, the bounce that would come off the padding in left field.
Chloe Lackey is going to come in and pinch run here for Knight at 3rd base. And Natalie Heath is going to pinch hit for Emily Vinson. Heath last night was 0 for 2 with a strikeout. Big insurance runs. It's going to make its way into the seats. And how about this South Carolina offense after being held to 2 runs on 3 hits in game 1? They already have 5 runs on a dozen hits here in game 2. Heath bounces to 3rd, scooped up by McDowell. No advance from the runners, and there is out number 1.
It's a nice play by McDowell, freshman at 3rd base, able to stay down on this hot shot from Vinson.
Good first out there. And now we actually are going to see our 3rd pitcher of the game. It is Robin Herron. We'll tell you much more about her, the game 1 starter who just threw a complete game in the win yesterday here in Fayetteville. Akir was just outstanding last night in that win. Gave up just 2 runs on 3 hits. She struck out 9 while scattering 4 walks in the 6 innings for Arkansas, leading them to that big run rule W last night. And now, Aaron, she's going to be tasked with an incredibly important situation, down by 1 and 2 runners in scoring position.
9 strikeouts in game 1, and to me, it was that drop ball. One of the most wicked drop balls in our game right now comes out of the hand of Robin Herron.
This is the ace of the staff for Arkansas, Courtney Deifel, depending on her. And as Quincy Lilio comes in and takes strike 1. Back to the top of the order with Lilio and Shelton now due. They started the rally for the Gamecocks in the 5th that ended with Ariana Rohde's 3-run home run to make it a 5-4 lead for the Gamecocks. Bunt attempt, what a squeeze, and no play. Herron just had to look back the pinch runner, and that was all they could do. Lacey just kind of toyed with her, and now the bases are loaded here with 1 out.
This is what's called a sacrifice squeeze. The defense is anticipating the effort at home plate, but all that's happening is that Lockie at third base is reading this ball. She's baiting defense for attention, and that finds Lilio on her way to first. That's going to go down as a CPA right there.
Definitely.
That is an execution of an action play. That's the second bunt we've seen from Lilio, as well as 2 base hits on the evening. So solid in the leadoff for South Carolina.
So go down as a fielder's choice there for Lilio. And now here is Carly Shelton. Right at the knees. 0-2. This would be a huge out to get Shelton before Ariana Rohde comes up with nowhere to put her. The difference maker in this game right now. South Carolina trying to even up this series at a game apiece. Arkansas looking to put it away and go for the sweep tomorrow.
You could feel the sense of urgency here from South Carolina to push a couple of insurance runs across the board, and rightfully so. Looking at what is going to come up offensively for Arkansas in the 6th and the 7th, they're going to face Bree Ellis and Ella McDowell. They will.
1-2 on Shelton. Got her! After 9 Ks last night, Herron has her first in game 2.
Coming from the left side of the body, this is upstairs. Rise ball, a late bite just above the letters. Such a beautiful location with 2 strikes.
Not out of the woods yet here with Rohde. Rohde this season hitting .389 with runners in scoring position. Can she deliver one more big blow for South Carolina? One and one.
That's a nice spot for Herron with a 1-0 count. Backdoor curve, barely clips on the outer half against Rohde. You can't miss sweet with Rohde. We saw what happened back in the 5th inning with a missed pitch. Changed this ball game. It was the 3-run shot from Rohde that gave South Carolina the lead.
And that for a team that has only now hit 30 home runs, the least in the SEC. 2-2 on Rohde after the big cut. Pitch of the game right here. Got her! Robin Herron strikes out 2 in the 6th. And South Carolina leaves the bases loaded.
Your ace Heron in the circle, slamming the door shut in a huge moment for South Carolina. 2 more chances for the Razorbacks.
Murph always has some gems. Looking forward to that one tomorrow night. Rather, Monday night. Tomorrow, actually, that Oklahoma-Alabama series. Also right here on SEC Network. 6 Eastern, 5 Central. And then Monday night, 7 Eastern, Mic'd Up Monday. Arkansas starts it off with Carly Davison, trailing by a run, but with all the momentum behind them after stranding the bases loaded in the 6th without anything coming across. Davison, Miller, and Johnson, the ones do 8, 9, and 1 in the lineup for Courtney Deifel. Over to third. There's Chansey. That's a big first out there for South Carolina. Davison's struggles continue in this series. Now 0 for 6.
Back to the importance of Kennedy Miller, who's about to step in. Actually, it looks like we may have a pinch hitter here for Kennedy Miller.
Carly Ratcliffe is going to come in and pinch hit for Miller.
This is an important part of this lineup in the 9-hole. Kennedy Miller has done a great job in the 9-hole. We saw her single back in the 2nd to roll this order back up to Reagan Johnson, and the same task is here for Ratcliffe. The speedster Johnson is who stands on deck. And then you're to the meat of this order, which we have talked about. Reagan Kramer, Bree Ellis, McDowell in the 4-hole. This is the dangerous part of Arkansas's offense.
Just the 15th at bat of this season. Here for Ratcliffe, and she jams it into center for a base hit. Courtney Deifel knows how to pull these strings. Back to the top of the order we go.
Well, when Miller set the table back in the 2nd, she came around to score. Now Will Ratcliffe. She finds her way on and now turns this lineup over to the top for Reagan Johnson. You can hear it, you can feel it. Momentum starting to brew for the Razorbacks.
Job certainly done by Ratcliffe, and now Ava Carter is going to come in and pinch run. Carter has not attempted a stolen base all year long. We are back to the top of the order now. Reagan Johnson, who has a couple of infield singles and just absolutely wreaks havoc on the base paths. Though she was caught for just the 2nd time trying to steal second base earlier in this game by Lexi Winters.
Well, check it out. Got the extra infielder pulled in.
I guess they definitely don't think she's going to right field.
So it is Lelio.
Yeah.
Playing where second base would be. So they've pulled in center field, now only having 2 outfielders and an extra body on the dirt. That is the threat of Johnson. That is the threat of her speed.
Flied out towards left field. This is easy for Vincent.
Making South Carolina defense look genius right there. Hits right in to that shift.
I mean, how juicy does right field look for you there? I think this should, I'm literally just flipping my bat out because if it gets past the infield,
run for days.
It's not even close. You could probably get 2 inside the park home runs. All right, Reagan Kramer now. That leadoff, rather 1-out single still stranded on first base for the moment, and there's strike 1 to Kramer.
Well, you have to know if you're Johnson where you're likely going to be thrown. They're not going to give you anything on the inside part of the plate. They're not going to give you anything that's going to allow you to pull the ball to that side of the field.
To center, and dunks in.
All right, what do you do?
I'm glad I don't have to make that decision.
Me too.
Let's put it that way.
I will say, when we had a chance to talk to Coach Chastain Woodard coming into this weekend, we asked her the question, what is it going to take to prep for an Arkansas team? And you know her first answer? We're not going to let Bree Ellis beat us.
She has a fielder's choice and 2 walks. Will this end up being a senior night to remember here for Ellis? First, Ashley is going to talk things over with her infield. Arkansas just 1 for 9 with runners in scoring position tonight. So if you do pitch around Bree Ellis, where I don't think anybody in this ballpark would fault South Carolina for doing so, then you're dealing with one of the best freshmen in the country in Ella McDowell. That is why having someone in the cleanup spot behind her that can produce on a regular basis is going to make or break Arkansas' season.
Furthermore, we saw it in game 1. Ella McDowell came up with the bases juiced last night and had a base clearing double to take the lead. From then on, it was all Arkansas. They ended up ending the game early with a run rule victory in inning 6.
I still think as good as McDowell has been, she's got to be the one to beat you.
You gotta make the freshman beat you. You can't give it to Bree Ellis. I completely agree. A 20 home run season so far for this senior. It's her senior night tonight.
Well, Sam Gress has all the experience you could ever want in the circle and is going to be very careful here with Arkansas's star.
That's an off-speed pitch that gets her on the inside corner. That's a very competitive pitch location for Sam Gress.
Ellis seemed to be looking for something a little harder, got out in front of it, and just had to hold back, foul it off. Now what do you do here on 1-1?
Gress is such a competitor. You can hear her talking to her teammates. You could read the lips there. Make this play. Make this play.
There's another off speed that she got out in front of.
And there's ice in the veins of Sam Gress right now. They're going after her.
They are.
They're
Very
going
much
after
so.
her. This is the head captain of South Carolina that is in the circle attacking one of the best bats in our game right now.
Protecting a 1-run lead here with 2 outs and the tying run on second base. 1-2 to Ellis. To third, under the glove of Chansey, everyone's safe. Should have been out number 3. Instead, it's the 3rd error of the game for the Gamecocks.
I mean, this is the best defense in the nation, and it's the 3rd error just tonight. That out had to be made.
I didn't have that one on my bingo card either.
That out
3
had
errors
to
in
be
one
made.
game for them. Oh, there's no doubt. And even there, Chansey could just step on third. Didn't even have to make a throw. And now here is McDowell, who comes up with the bases loaded. Into right field, and there is Knight. South Carolina escapes, breathing a sigh of relief. And Strand, the bases loaded.
SEC Softball is presented by Regions Bank, official bank of the SEC.
Some tense Hog supporters out there on the berm beyond the outfield fence right now, with the Razorbacks trailing 5-4, going to the top of the 7th here at Bogle Park. Alex Perlman, 2-time national champion Aaron Miller with you. So glad that you are a part of our Saturday evening. It has been quite a ball game. The difference so far is the 5th inning 3-run homer off the bat of Carolina's Ariana Rhodey, and that's it. We have not seen any scoring since. Lexi Winters leads off for the Gamecocks. They got the middle of the order now, 4-5-6, trying to add on to that 1-run lead. Arkansas 2-1 in 1-run games this year. Gamecocks 5-5, even. Snared by Heron. As cool as you like.
So much control from Heron in the circle, both in her pace of play, her rhythm, but also the way that she fields her position. There is no panic. There's a calm, cool nature about this arm.
One out for Chansey. Arkansas is going to have Day, Wyckoff, and Riho due up. But the key for South Carolina is they successfully navigated the top 4 in the order.
Bingo.
And I would think that Ashley Chastain Woodard, the head coach for South Carolina, is going to be breathing a real sigh of relief getting out of that inning, especially when Bree Ellis grounds it to third.
Yeah,
and
with the
you
error.
think that Chansey is just going to step on third base and
Well,
you're going to go back into the dugout. You got to get a fly out to right field from McDowell.
You and I said it, most of the time, what feels like 90% of the time, those errors in that moment, they come back and they get you.
We've watched enough ball that, like, South Carolina making 3 errors and still leading Arkansas is not the norm.
It's an anomaly.
Yes.
Yeah.
But the game's not over by any means. That'll find the outside corner.
Well, we saw what Arkansas did last night. They trailed 2-1 coming into the 5th, and then they end up ending this game early.
Just missed there on 2-2. Not by much.
You hear the crowd. You also saw the smile from Heron. I don't know where it missed. Maybe a tad high.
Little upstairs, maybe. Reached for it and poked out to center field. A 1-out single for Chansey, her first hit of the evening after starting 0 for 3. You know, and I think we also have to give some kudos to what Sam Gress has done coming into this game after last night, you know, really not pitching the way that she wanted to, and certainly not the way that she is capable of pitching.
Well,
I'm sure that was difficult for her, too. I mean, you give up 5 runs in 2 2/3 in relief when your team is in the lead, end up getting run ruled. That's never easy.
You saw how well she frustrated Bree Ellis with the changeup. Her defense behind her didn't end up capturing that out. She did get out of the inning, but that was a really good matchup for her. Great effort in the circle against the hottest bat right now in our sport.
1-1 is up the middle. Heron lets it go. Rio second. Davison to first. Not in time. I think you and I both have the same thing on our minds.
I was just going to say, I think if Rio takes that ball herself, she already had the momentum up the center of the field. If she can keep the body in motion, field, tag, and throw, I think that play is made.
I mean, it was so close as it was with the flip to Davison.
The flip is what delayed the play at first. We're getting picky, aren't we?
I don't think so, because they're out of the inning.
Exactly. Gets them back in the dugout.
Yeah. That one is driven to left field, but Kramer's going to camp underneath it just in front of the track. South Carolina does not add, and the last chance coming up for Arkansas. Down by 1 as we go to the bottom of the 7th. Arkansas trails by 1 with 3 outs remaining here in Bogle Park. But if any Arkansas team can come back from this deficit, is certainly this one already. They're guaranteed to have eclipsed their single season program record in doubles and runs. I mean, look at these numbers. This has been an offensive juggernaut, and somewhere that, you know, Razorback fans, I think, feel a little comfortable maybe even trying to come back in this game because they know how good this team's been all year.
Courtney Day has been one of those seniors that's added to that success this season, a transfer from Texas. 12 home runs on the year, but has struggled with a bit of a leg injury, has been spotty through the past few weeks due to a knee issue, just some mobility, struggling to put weight on that front leg. but came in clutch yesterday, a 1-for-3 outing.
She singled to meet Sam Gress in this game to start off her night. And now down to the count 0-2. Well, Day second on the team in both home runs and runs driven in. She's got a dozen bombs, 48 RBIs, an OPS of 1.240, which is really high. It's not Briella's levels, but nobody is. 1.2 is really good. And we are finished back to the SEC studios for a very special edition of SEC Now. Getting you caught up on everything from the softball and baseball diamonds today. Do another 1-2.
You got to imagine we are going to see some type of off-speed here with a 1-2 count against Courtney Day. That same off-speed pitch was so effective against Brie Ellis just last inning.
Up the middle, little squibber to Shelton, makes the play. One out here in the 7th. Tomorrow, the Rally Cap crew is breaking down the SEC baseball and softball weekend with highlights, analysis, and interviews. Also, getting you set up for the upcoming week with a look at the best series matchups. Coverage begins 8 Eastern right here on the SEC Network and on the ESPN app. Kaylee Wyckoff now with one out and nobody on. The tying run at the plate for the Hogs. Sam Gress trying to finish this game off. Has already thrown 2 innings. Coming in and getting 2 in the 5th. Worked a scoreless 6th, stranding the bases loaded. This one's driven out towards left field. Vinson to her left. 2 away, Arkansas down to its final out.
You got to give credit here, despite some of the defensive miscues, a very uncharacteristic outing for South Carolina defense, and they have held a 1-run lead.
Last 3 in a row retired by Gress. And Natalia Rijo is the final chance now for Arkansas to keep this game alive. Well, this series has lived up to its billing, and no matter what happens, tomorrow it's going to be absolutely electric. South Carolina hoping they're going to have a chance to potentially win their 4th straight SEC series. And that would be a massive statement to the softball world. Arkansas down to its final strike of the night.
Sam Gress has been so good coming in clutch to close the door. You and I talked about it, probably some frustration in what she saw out of her performance yesterday, and has a chance to right a wrong tonight here in game 2.
Over to short, Blankenship charges off balance in time. South Carolina wins it 5-4 on the 3-run home run by Rhodey to even up this series and nab their first win in Fayetteville since 2019. And we will have a rubber game tomorrow. This was a huge statement by South Carolina tonight.
You know you're going to get the best play from both of these squads tomorrow. South Carolina making some adjustments at the plate based on a tough